KC Radio. You don't want to miss out on any of that, as well as us catching up and making sure that we fill each other in on the things and the happenings of the weekend and the things that have gathered information that we need to share amongst each other in order to all be at par. This is Moments in Current Affairs.
This is KNR Radio according to you.
Right. Well, the Gauteng Health Department said it would be appointing an independent investigator to probe allegations against the Kalafong Hospital CEO. Last week, nurses affiliated to nursing union Denosa protested at the hospital demanding the resignation of the CEO, Dr. Sillo Matila. They accused him of maladministration and corruption. Workers also claim he intimidated staff who recently protested the government's 3% wage hike. The department said it's now launched an investigation into the allegations against him. It said Matila would not be reporting to the facility for work pending the outcome of the investigation. Dr. Lebohang Mpshe has been appointed as acting CEO in the midst. The presidency confirmed on Saturday afternoon that President Cyril Ramaphosa is not resigning based on a clearly flawed report. He intends to challenge the findings of the Section 89 independent panel. Now, spokesperson Vincent Makwenya said Ramaphosa has decided to take the S89 panel report on review. It is in the long-term interest and sustainability of our constitutional democracy, well beyond the Ramaphosa presidency, that such a clearly flawed report is challenged, especially when it's being used as a point of reference to remove a sitting head of state, Vincent Makwenya said. Ramaphosa's allies in the cabinet tried to convince him that the Section 89 panel report was flimsy and could be fought politically on Friday. This comes after Ramaphosa was ready to resign from office on Thursday after a Section 89 panel found Ramaphosa may have contravened the Constitution and anti-corruption laws with his dealings at Phala. The country's former spy boss, Arthur Fraser, opened a criminal case against President Ramaphosa for the burglary of millions of rands that happened at Ramaphosa's Phala game farm in early 2000. Fraser alleged that the thieves stole millions of rands in the US dollars from Ramaphosa's Phala game farm in 2020. He further said that Ramaphosa failed to report the matter to the relevant authorities, but instead called on the police members close to him to investigate the matter secretly. The Musina Regional Court on Wednesday sentenced a 36-year-old man to 19 years in jail for burglary at business premises and theft of a motor vehicle. In 2017, Ahmad Maphosa and his accomplices broke into a Ford vehicle dealership in Musina, Limpopo, and made off with 6 cars worth over 3 million rand. 5 of the cars were recovered en route to Zimbabwe, but his accomplices managed to evade arrest and are still at large. The vehicles were intercepted from crossing to Limpopo River into the neighboring country of Zimbabwe, but the suspects were not arrested as they ran away. Through the assistance of law-abiding citizens, Maphosa was arrested in the area while attempting to flee, the Hawks spokesperson Matimba Malulega said. 27 minutes now after 9 a.m. As Farmgate continues, Johannesburg, South Africa, and the world would have never known about Cyril Ramaphosa's alleged illicit financial mess if the millions of US dollars had not been stolen from his Phala farm. The Section 89 independent panel, retired Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo chaired the was bang on mark when it found Ramaphosa to not be truthful by declaring only $580,000 that was stolen. Today, we unveil the real picture. There was $140 million, which Pofke, just more than 2 billion, was allegedly moved from Waterkloof Air Force Base to Phala, which converts to more than $140 million. That's just what is being said at the surface level. It's going to still get very, very hectic. And the more we find out, obviously, the more informed we will be. Iranian authorities on Sunday put 4 people to death for allegedly working with Israel's Mossad intelligence service. Mirzan online news service for the Iranian judiciary reported that 4 members of a gang related to Israel's intelligence service were executed on Sunday morning. Those executed allegedly carried out kidnappings, prepared weapons, and received their wages in digital currency. The execution comes just days after the death sentences were upheld by Iran's Supreme Court. The online publication said that the 4 were given no opportunity to appeal the court's decision. 3 others received prison sentences ranging from 5 to 10 years, and they were convicted of acting against the national security, aiding and kidnapping and possessing illegal weapons, state-affiliated Mer News reported. Israel considers Iran and Iranian proxies in the Middle East to be its largest security threat. Iran has not recognized Israeli sovereignty since the 1979 Islamic Revolution and supports anti-Israeli armed groups, including Hezbollah and Hamas. Both countries frequently accuse one another of espionage, with Israel in January saying it had swooped in on an Iranian spy ring it said was recruiting Israeli women via social media to photograph strategic sites and gather intelligence. Israel is also concerned about Iran's alleged pursuit of nuclear weapons and does not support the U.S. returning to Iran nuclear deal that Trump administration unilaterally withdrew from in 2018. The Western Cape Ombudsman, tasked with investigating allegations that police are colluding with gangsters, has handed over his report to the Premier. It seems to back Judge Daniel Tulare's findings that gangsters have infiltrated the Western Cape's SAPS, influencing some of its members all the way to the top. Tulare made these comments in October this year when denying gang members bail in a murder case. Very fishy. An irate investor who partnered with Zunaid Moti on a platinum venture has dragged the controversial businessman to court over allegations of fraud in connection with the project. Frederick Friki Lutziger, a Polito-based coal tycoon and former cage fighter who has courted his own share of controversy, claims he has realized almost no value from the 242 million rand investment that Moti convinced him to make in a company called Kilken Platinum. He alleges Moti and his business associates defrauded him using a series of convoluted transactions to divert money due to Kilken, depriving Lutziger of his expected profits. The legal clash offers glimpses into the corridors of Moti's murky business empire and the Machiavellian wheeler-dealer lives of 2 businessmen who have been linked to prominent underground figures. If Lutzky's version is to be believed, it suggests Moti has been able to remain afloat amid crippling debts to Investec Bank and commodities giant Glencore by cheating Peter to pay Paul. African National Congress head of communications Nkenke Kekana said that it would not be prudent for the party to recall the president Cyril Ramaphosa this close to the 55th National Elective Conference. He instead appealed to Ramaphosa to use his conscience in navigating this crisis around him. The ANC is just 10 days away from electing a new leadership, but will on Monday deliberate on Ramaphosa's future following the release of the Parliament's Section 89 panel report on the Phala Phala saga. It found that a case of impeachment can be made against Ramaphosa after he failed to report to 2020 burglary at the Phala Phala farm in Limpopo. The ANC NEC is reconvening its special meeting on the matter at Nasrec today. Kekana's musings on ANC's affairs reflect back on the removal of the former party president, concluding that it would be too risky to recall Ramaphosa this close to their conference. "28 now before 10 a.m. Gayton McKenzie has revealed houses built by inmates for GBV victims for 16 days of activism. McKenzie recently drafted a proposal in which he wants to see inmates giving back to the victims of gender-based violence. The initiative was in partnership with the Correctional Services Department, the Police Service, Traffic Department, and Fire Service. The aim was for the inmates to use some of the skills they learned in prison to do work that will benefit the communities. I want to thank everyone, especially the inmates, he wrote. According According to McKenzie, no inmates attempted to escape. Part of the plan is to build a prison. Without elaborating, he said he said the prison will stimulate the economy and create jobs. I thank everyone who will play a role. I went from being a prisoner to working with my jailers to help the community and other people who are in prison. Should the former Kaizer Chiefs winger Simphiwe Shabalala call it a day? His agent has suggested Shaba still wants to play but should fulfill his desire. I will say it again, why a player is forced to quit his job when he sees he can still do the job. Jasmine Mahlangane told Isolezwe. When the time is right, we will announce Shaba's retirement. He can't stop now and he can still do the job. Have you ever been forced to quit where you work? He asked. Makes a valid point. Staying with Chiefs, we found a quick list of players Arthur Zwane could be welcoming to Naturena. Some of these are going to be very controversial, but we'll talk about those at a later stage.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.